vanishing trail, Briar Glen, was off the maps for decades. It was a booming mining village that vanished once the mine suddenly collapsed in 1913. Folks around town would talk in whispers about the Hallow, an area of forest that appeared to have a personality of its own, looking at you with invisible eyes. Ethan, a vlogging traveler craving clicks, convinced his girlfriend Sarah and two friends, Ryan and Claire, to hike into the abandoned area. They found the trailhead blocked by a rusty gate marked with symbols not of any language. As they stepped over it, all their equipment, phones, GPS, even their watches, went dead. The air was thick with silence. The woods were no longer outdoors. They were inhabited. Deep in the forest, Claire saw a glint among the trees. They discovered dozens of small, old mirrors hammered into branches, swaying without wind. Each showed distorted versions of their faces, with empty eyes, screaming mouths, or, in one instance, no face at all. Ethan dismissed it as a joke, but Sarah felt something pass her by, cold and oily. They slept by the creek that night, but nobody slept. Whispers were heard calling out each one of them by their very own names, in their very own voices. Ryan stepped away from the tent and screamed. They found him shaking, staring in a cracked mirror that had been nailed to a stump. In its reflection was not the woods, but a black hall filled with hanging corpses. One of them was his own. The following morning, Ryan was nowhere to be found. All they could find was a mirror suspended from a tree, with his white frozen face etched forever in it, silently screaming. Imprinted below it was the following phrase: collected. Claire wanted to depart at once, but the trail vanished. The woods were circular. Regardless of the direction they ran, they continued to arrive in the same clearing. Sarah started to see a man in the forest, tall, dressed in torn black, with a face obscured. He carried a bone lantern. Wherever the light fell, the forest withered. He did not walk. He glided. That night, Ethan saw Claire talking to someone, but when he approached, no one was there. Claire was staring into a mirror attached to her hand, muttering, "He promised I'd see her again." Claire's sister had died years before. Her face was now the only occupant of the glass. After the encounter with the twisted figure in the hallway, Ethan became intensely obsessed. Whenever he closed his eyes, he saw the face again. Limbs twisted in the opposite direction, jaw askew, a fracture like branches splitting in winter. He began a methodical search of the creaky villa for evidence, lifting floorboards and stripping away flaking wallpaper. It was here that he discovered the symbols. Under the living room carpet was a large black symbol, carved into the wooden floor. Its lines seemed to be burned into the wood, like veins that curled towards a single central rune. This rune pulsed with a weak glow when his flashlight hit it. As Ethan traced its shape with his fingers, a high-pitched screech echoed from the attic above, later followed by scraping footsteps directly overhead. He was no longer alone. That evening, Ethan locked himself within the bedroom, hoping to escape from whatever was attempting to take him. He installed cameras in each room. The midnight clip revealed something terrifying. Him, looming over his sleeping form, smiling with an abnormal face. The next morning, contusions covered his neck that looked like fingers. The mirrors no longer reflected him. They reflected someone else, someone watching him. In the evening, his voice had started to alter. It grew deeper, shook, and sometimes, only sometimes, it spoke things he was unaware of. Latin, ritualistic chants. He couldn't recall speaking them, but the recordings did not lie. The villa was not haunted. It was feeding, and he was already being consumed from the inside. With desperation leading him, Ethan followed the sequence of symbols deeper into the villa, downward into a hidden basement behind a locked stone wall. With a rusted crowbar and sheer madness propelling him, he broke through. What he discovered beneath would damage any man's soul. It was a cathedral of pain, sigils drawn in blood across every inch of the walls, skulls in a perfect circle, and a sacrificial table stained with the dark, old gore. Chains dangled from the ceiling, some of them still rattling. In the middle sat a book bound in what appeared to be human skin, its pages written in a combination of blood and ash. The last page had a name that was duplicated several times: Withermaw. As he said the name, the room turned icy cold. The lights fluttered, and silence. And then the roar from under the villa, a noise so deep and guttural it shattered the ceiling above. Ethan's body was no longer fully his own. He could find dirt embedded under his fingernails at night, bite marks on his own skin. His eyes no longer reflected the light. His friends who ventured out looking for him never returned. He found the diaries of the original owner of the villa, a 19th century occultist named Father Hallow. Hallow had summoned something beneath the ground under the woods, a gatekeeper demon that feasted on despair and devoured identity. Withermaw, Ethan was the host, the fifth of a line of reluctant hosts throughout the centuries. It had taken 5 bloodlines for the demon to rise. Ethan's family was the final one. He tried to flee, but the forest had changed. Regardless of how quickly he moved, he found himself standing in front of the gates of the villa. Time no longer progressed in a straight line. Clocks rewound. His phone showed dates in the 1800s. And then the whispering started. His mother's voice echoed, summoning him home. The blood moon ascended. Ethan stood once more in the ritual room, this time not of his own will, but compulsion. His body walked down the stairs, led by the whispers. In the mirror on the wall, he could see Withermaw's face appearing through his own, horns sprouting, skin cracking. The last ritual started without him chanting. The demon employed his tongue. All the candles in the villa lit up by themselves. All the doors closed, and the villa started breathing. Individually, the essences of the former vessels manifested, featureless, quivering, and shattered. They implored him to cease his actions. Nevertheless, he continued to manipulate with his hands. As the ritual reached its conclusion, the floor creaked open, and something horrifying emerged from the depths. Not a beast, a void, a maelstrom of claws, eyes, and fury. With one final scream, Ethan's body jerked and snapped back. Bones cracked like firecrackers. And then, silence. The villa went dark. Deep within a distant forest, a worn and old church began to emit bursts of light. The curse had moved on,